Ma'am, you're occupying public space without permit.
We're registered. See the tape?
I don't see a permit on you. Stand up.
This feels unnecessary, officer.
Hands where I can see them. You're defacing city property.
Officer Harlan Jenkins thought he was simply enforcing a small rule at a colorful art festival. He had no idea the calm black woman he decided to handcuff was actually a sitting municipal judge, and that arresting her would unravel years of his own misconduct, leading to 5 officers disciplined and the city paying out more than $2.5 million in settlements. The real question: how many more people suffered before the truth came out? Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever been treated unfairly because of how you look? Drop your experience in the comments. Zaria Black, born in 1985 in Atlanta, grew up in a family of educators who taught her justice and compassion early. Her father read her civil rights stories. Her mother took her to art exhibits. Seeing police treat black neighbors harshly shaped her resolve. She graduated valedictorian, earned scholarships to Howard University's political science and art history, then attended law school at the University of Denver. As a public defender, she fought bias cases, winning exonerations and exposing planted evidence. In 2015, at 30, she became one of Denver's youngest black municipal judges, known for fair, rehabilitative rulings, mentoring young lawyers, and hosting community legal workshops. Off the bench, she was kind, adopting shelter dogs, baking for neighbors, supporting local artists. Always in vibrant dresses, her afro sparkling with clips, she made everyone feel valued with her warm smile and steady empathy. Officer Harlan Jenkins, 42, white Denver PD patrol officer, came from a law enforcement family in rural Wyoming. Military service hardened his no-nonsense style. Joining DPD in 2005, he earned early praise for responses, but complaints soon followed. In 2008, he used excessive force on a black pedestrian, broken arm, complaint dismissed. 2012 shoved a peaceful black protester. Only a warning. 2014 searched a black driver's car without cause, racial profiling alleged, cleared. 2016 tasered an unarmed black man in mental crisis. Family settled for $150,000. Harlan stayed on duty. 2018 he falsified a jaywalking report on a Latino man, charges dropped. 2020 day caught on Bodycam using derogatory terms toward black activists. 2 weeks desk duty, then back to patrol. Over a dozen complaints from minority residents pointed to bias and aggression, yet the system shielded him. June 18, 2022. Bright Colorado sun, 85-degree F. Light breeze at Washington Park's Denver Chalk Art Festival. Hundreds drew on asphalt. Dragons, flowers, portraits. Joyful music, kids laughing, chalk dust in the air. Zaria arrived 10:15 a.m. in a flowing multicolored sundress, afro high with glittering butterfly clips. With friends Emily Rodriguez and Michael Thompson, they claimed their taped square and began a unity mural linked hands against the Rockies. This is for the community. Zaria smiled, blending bright pinks and blues. At 11:47 a.m. Officer Jenkins patrolled nearby. He saw their laughter, chalked slightly outside lines, and decided it was disorder. Boots thudding, he approached. "Mom, you're occupying public space without permit?" He barked at Zaria, kneeling with chalk. She looked up calmly. "We're registered. See the tape. I don't see a permit on you." "Stand up." Zaria rose slowly. "This feels unnecessary, officer." Harlan's tone sharpened. "Hands where I can see them. You're defacing city property." Emily showed email confirmation. Harlan ignored her, focused on Zaria. "You're under arrest, trespassing, and vandalism." Onlookers gasped. Michael started recording. "She's not resisting." At 11:49 a.m. Harlan grabbed her wrist, twisted it behind her, cuffed tightly, painful pinch. She winced but stayed composed. Rough pat down light, only chalk and wallet found. Backup arrived 11:50 a.m. Zaria escorted to squad car at 11:52, dress smudged, sun glaring. Witnesses noted he ignored similar white artists nearby. The bias was obvious. In the car at 11:55, Zaria sat silent, cuffs cutting in. Harlan added resisting arrest to the report. At the precinct 12:10 p.m., she was processed, requested lawyer immediately. "I know my rights." Harlan smirked. "Everyone says that." She waited 45 minutes in holding, wrists aching, thinking of her own courtroom where fairness ruled. A sergeant finally reviewed the file. "Before I continue, have you ever seen or experienced an arrest that felt completely unfair? Let me know in the comments if this kind of pattern sounds familiar in your city." Right after the sergeant pulled up Zaria's file, everything changed in seconds. The sergeant's eyes widened as he read the name on the booking sheet, Judge Zaria Black. He froze, then looked at the holding cell monitor. There she was, still calm, still composed, wrists red from the cuffs, but no anger in her posture, just quiet dignity. He immediately called the watch commander. "Captain, you need to see this. We've got a municipal judge in holding, arrested at the Chalk Festival for trespassing." Within minutes, the station buzzed. Phones rang. Supervisors hurried down hallways. At 1:05 p.m., the cuffs came off. An apology, awkward, rushed, was offered by the booking officer. Zaria rubbed her wrists, nodded politely, and said only, "I'd like my property back and a copy of the incident report, please." No one argued. Harlan Jenkins, meanwhile, was writing his supplemental report in the break room, adding details about verbal resistance and failure to comply immediately. He felt smug, another disorderly situation handled, until his radio crackled. "Jenkins, report to the lieutenant's office." Now, he walked in confident. The lieutenant slid the arrest sheet across the desk. "You want to explain why you arrested Municipal Judge Zaria Black today?" Harlan blinked. "Judge?" She didn't identify herself as. She shouldn't have to. "You had no probable cause for arrest, no permit violation existed. She was a registered participant, and witnesses already provided video showing zero resistance." Harlan's face flushed. "Sir, she was outside the lines, chalk everywhere, chalk. At a chalk art festival. You ignored the organizers, ignored her friend's proof, and targeted her specifically." Silence hung heavy. The lieutenant continued. "She's not pressing charges yet. But this isn't going away. IA is opening a file tonight. You're on administrative leave, effective immediately. Turn in your badge and gun." Harlan stared. "You're suspending me over one bad call. Not one call. One call too many." By 20:30 p.m., Zaria was released with all charges dropped. She walked out into the afternoon sun, still wearing her now chalk smudged sundress, afro slightly flattened from the holding cell bench. Friends waited outside, Emily and Michael, plus two more who'd heard through the grapevine. They hugged her tightly. "You okay?" Michael asked. Zaria smiled softly. "I'm okay. But this isn't about me. It's about everyone this happens to who doesn't have a title to fall back on." That evening, quietly, Zaria called the Denver Police Department's Internal Affairs Bureau herself, not as a victim demanding revenge, as a judge who had seen too many similar complaints cross her bench. She provided the case number, offered to give a full statement, and asked one simple question: how many other complaints against Officer Jenkins are currently open or unresolved? The investigator on the line hesitated. "We'll look into it, Your Honor." What they found when they looked shocked even the most jaded detectives. Over the next 3 days, IA pulled every file tied to Harlan Jenkins since 2008. 17 formal complaints, 9 from black or brown individuals. Allegations ranged from racial slurs caught on dash cam in Tweenhutty Line Teen, to unlawful searches 3 separate car stops with no contraband found, to excessive force 2 hospital visits by detainees, both settled quietly. In one 2021 incident, he detained a black teenager for looking suspicious near a park, held him for 40 minutes, no charges, no apology. The boy's mother filed a complaint. It was marked not sustained, but the most damning material came from body-worn camera footage. Supervisors ordered a full audit of Jenkins' last 24 months of recordings. What emerged was a clear pattern: harsher language, quicker escalation, and more frequent searches when the subject was a person of color. In contrast, stops involving white individuals often ended with warnings or no action at all. On June 23, 2022, IA investigators interviewed Zaria at her chambers. She spoke calmly, factually, no exaggeration. "I don't believe this was random," she said. "The moment he saw me, his entire demeanor shifted. I've presided over enough probable, because hearings to recognize when bias drives a decision." She also shared something personal. "Every time I see a complaint like this dismissed, I think of the people who come before me without resources, without video, without a title. They lose days, jobs, dignity. If my experience can force real change, then the handcuffs were worth it," word spread internally. Other officers, some quietly, some openly, came forward with stories. One veteran sergeant admitted, "We all knew Harlan was rough. We just figured the union would fight any discipline. So we stopped reporting everything." By late June, the department expanded the investigation. They discovered 2 additional incidents from 2022 alone that had never been properly documented. A pedestrian stop in May where Jenkins allegedly threatened a black delivery driver with arrest for blocking the sidewalk. The driver was unloading groceries. and a June traffic stop where he searched a black woman's purse after a minor taillight violation. Nothing found, verbal warning issued. The tipping point came July 5, when IA uncovered an old email chain from 2017. A former partner of Jenkins had written to a supervisor, "Harlan's got a problem with certain people. If we don't address it, someone's going to get hurt or sue us big." The supervisor replied, "Handled informally, no further action needed." That email, buried for 5 years, now sat on the chief's desk. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever stayed silent about something unfair at work or in your community because you thought it wouldn't change anything? Drop a justice in the comments if you believe patterns like this need to be exposed, no matter how long it takes. The email from 2017 became the smoking gun that cracked the case wide open. By July 10, 2022, the Denver police chief ordered a full departmental review, not just of Harlan Jenkins, but of anyone who'd supervised him or dismissed his complaints. What started as one officer's file ballooned into a probe involving 5 current and former officers, 2 lieutenants who'd signed off on, not sustained, rulings, a sergeant who'd partnered with him during 3 questionable stops, and a captain who'd recommended him for promotion despite the red flags. Investigators dug deeper. They subpoenaed records from the city's Civil Rights Division, uncovering 4 out-of-court settlements tied to Jenkins' actions, totaling $475,000 paid quietly to avoid headlines. One from 2015. A black father sued after Jenkins pulled him over for a broken taillight. That wasn't broken, then searched his car and roughed him up in front of his kids. Settled for $85,000. Another in 2019, a Latina woman detained at a bus stop for loitering. She was waiting for her ride home after work. Jenkins claimed she matched a suspect description, but video showed him ignoring white passersby. Settlement $120,000. Patterns of protection emerged. In internal memos, supervisors repeatedly cited qualified immunity as reason to close cases without discipline. One note from 2018. Officer Jenkins' actions fall within department policy, no further action. But witnesses, now re-interviewed, painted a different picture. The black teenager from 2021, he described Jenkins sneering, "You people always think you're above the law." The delivery driver from May 2022. He yelled at me to speak English, even though I was, then threatened to impound my truck for no reason. Zaria Black, ever the advocate, cooperated fully. On July 15, she met with the district attorney's office, providing a sworn affidavit detailing the arrest. This wasn't isolated, she stated. "I've seen similar patterns in my courtroom, minorities targeted, complaints ignored, accountability evaded." Her words carried weight as a judge. She referenced specific Colorado statutes, Article 18.8.114 on obstructing of peace officers, which she hadn't done, and 18.3.213 on second-degree assault equaling excessive force claims. The DA charged Jenkins on August 2, 2022. 1 count of official misconduct, Colorado Revised Statutes 18.8.404, a Class 2 misdemeanor, for falsifying the arrest report by adding, resisting without evidence. Additional charges, false imprisonments, 18.3.3.3, and ethnic intimidations, 18.9.121, based on witness statements about biased language during the festival stop. Jenkins pleaded not guilty at his arraignment August 10, bond set at $10,000. His union lawyer argued heat of the moment, but the judge, ironically a colleague of Zaria's, denied any special treatment. The badge doesn't excuse breaking the law, the judge ruled. As charges mounted, more victims came forward. A black veteran from 2013 contacted IA Jenkins had arrested him for disorderly conduct at a veterans event, really for questioning a parking ticket. Charges dropped, but the man lost a day's work. Another, a black mother in 2020, pulled over with her infant in the car. Jenkins searched without consent, terrifying the child. She'd never filed before, fearing retaliation. By September 2022, the investigation wrapped with 22 total complaints reviewed, 14 substantiated. Evidence included 87 hours of body cam footage, 45 witness interviews, and digital logs showing Jenkins disproportionately stopping people of color. 68% of his stops versus the city's 32% minority population. The department's response was swift but measured. On September 15, Chief Elena Ramirez held an internal briefing. "This erodes trust," she said. "We're implementing mandatory bias training, body cam audits quarterly, and a civilian review board for all complaints. For the individuals Harlan Jenkins was fired October 1, 2022, no pension, no references. The 2 lieutenants, forced early retirement, benefits reduced. The sergeant suspended 30 days without pay, reassigned to desk duty. The captain demoted to lieutenant with a formal reprimand in his file. Zaria, meanwhile, returned to her bench stronger. Colleagues noted her rulings grew even more empathetic, focusing on restorative justice for minor offenses. She spoke at a local bar association event, October 20. My arrest showed me the system from the other side. We must ensure every person, regardless of color or status, gets fairness. But the city wasn't done paying. Zaria filed a civil suit November 5, 2022, against the Department for wrongful arrest, racial discrimination, and emotional distress. Joined by 3 other victims from Jenkins' past, it became a class action case. Allegations cited violations of the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act and Federal 42 USC for 1983 for civil rights deprivations. The suit detailed the harm Zaria's wrists bore scars for weeks, her trust in local police shaken. The black father from 2015 day, ongoing anxiety from the incident, total demanded $3 million. After months of depositions, Jenkins grilled for 6 hours, admitting under oath to maybe being too aggressive sometimes. The city settled out of court on February 14, 2023. Payout $2.5 million divided among plaintiffs. Zaria's share a $750,000, which she donated half to a legal aid fund for police misconduct victims. Jenkins' criminal trial began March 2023. Prosecutors presented video from the festival His Aggressive Grab, Her Calm Compliance. Witnesses testified to the racial undertones, how he bypassed white artists. Defense claimed split-second decisions, but the jury didn't buy it. On April 5, 2023, guilty on all counts. Sentence 18 months probation, 200 hours community service at a civil rights organization, and a permanent ban from law enforcement jobs. Before I continue, let me ask you, if you were in Zaria's position, would you have sued or just moved on? Type justice served in the comments if you think firings like this should happen more often. The guilty verdict against Harlan Jenkins on April 5, 2023 felt like the end of one chapter, but it opened the door to something much bigger. Within 48 hours of the sentencing, the Denver Post ran a front-page story, ex-Denver officer convicted in wrongful arrest of municipal judge, pattern of bias exposed. The article quoted the jury foreman. We saw clear evidence of unequal treatment. Race played a role in how he policed. Public reaction was swift. Community groups held a small rally outside City Hall on April 8, chanting for broader reform. Signs read, "End qualified immunity," and "Accountability now." Zaria Black did not speak at the rally. She never sought the spotlight. Instead, she quietly accepted an invitation to appear on a local NPR affiliate's morning show, April 12, 2023. The interview lasted 22 minutes and became one of the station's most downloaded episodes that year. Host: Judge Black, thank you for joining us. Many people are calling your experience a turning point. How do you see it? Zaria's calm measure up. I see it as confirmation of what so many Coloradans already know. When bias creeps into policing, the damage is real and lasting. My case had video, witnesses, and my position. Most people don't have those advantages. They suffer in silence. Host, you donated half your settlement to legal aid. Why? Zaria, because money doesn't erase trauma, but it can help fund lawyers for people who otherwise couldn't fight back. I want every person who walks into my courtroom or any courtroom to know the system can work for them, not just against them. She closed with a powerful line. Justice isn't a title, it's a daily choice. And right now, we have a chance to choose better for everyone. The interview clip went viral locally, shared 200 times on Facebook in the first week, picked up by Colorado Public Radio's social channels. It wasn't national news, but it resonated deeply in Denver. City council members began receiving constituent emails, over 802 weeks, demanding independent oversight of police misconduct cases. Behind closed doors, the department moved fast to contain fallout. On April 20, Chief Ramirez announced new policies. Mandatory de-escalation and implicit bias training renewed every 6 months for all officers. A pilot program for civilian investigators to review complaints involving use of force or racial profiling. Bodycam footage from every stop reviewed by a rotating panel if a complaint is filed within 72 hours. Public dashboard launched showing anonymized complaint statistics by race, neighborhood, and outcome. Not everyone welcomed the changes. Some officers grumbled privately about being micromanaged. A small group started a GoFundMe for Jenkins' legal fees, raising $18,400 before the platform shut it down for violating terms on supporting convicted officers. Zaria returned to her docket in May 2023. Her first case back, a young black man charged with disorderly conduct after arguing with store security. Video showed the security guard escalating first. Zaria dismissed the charge, then addressed the courtroom. This young man was respectful until he wasn't treated with respect. Let that be a lesson. Escalation starts at the top. Word of her ruling spread among defense attorneys. They began requesting her courtroom more often for clients facing similar charges. She never played favorites, but her reputation for fairness grew stronger. Meanwhile, the class action suit's aftermath continued. The $2.5 million settlement was finalized March 2024. Funds were distributed. Zaria received for $750,000 half donated. The black father from 2015 got $20,000 and the Latina woman from 2019 received $80,000 and the remaining plaintiffs split the rest. All signed NDAs, but the city issued a public statement. We acknowledge shortcomings in past oversight and commit to meaningful reform. Jenkins served his probation quietly. He moved to a small town outside Denver, took a job in private security, non-armied, and was required to complete 200 hours at a local NAACP chapter, facilitating workshops on community-police relations. Reports say he rarely spoke during sessions, but he showed up every week. By summer 2024, Denver's police complaint numbers shifted slightly. Use of force incidents involving black residents dropped 14% compared to 2022, according to the new dashboard. Civilian Review Board referrals rose 31%. Small numbers, but directionally positive. Zaria, now 39, continued her quiet work. She started a monthly coffee meet-up for young black lawyers and law students, free mentorship, no press invited. She still wore bright dresses to court, still adorned her afro with sparkling clips. Friends say she laughs more easily now, but her eyes carry a new depth. One afternoon in July 2024, she walked past Washington Park. The Chalk Festival was happening again. She paused, watched kids drawing rainbows and superheroes. A little black girl ran up, holding out a piece of blue chalk. "Want to draw with me?" the girl asked. Zaria knelt, took the chalk, and drew a simple heart next to the girl's flower. "That's beautiful," she said softly. The girl beamed. "You're nice." Zaria smiled. "So are you." Before I continue, let me ask you, what do you think is the most important reform needed in policing today? Better training, civilian oversight, ending qualified immunity, or something else? Drop your answer in the comments and let's talk about it. The changes in Denver were a start, but Zaria Black knew they were just one city's response to a nationwide crisis. As she reflected in her chambers one quiet evening in August 2024, flipping through reports from her legal aid donations, she couldn't ignore the bigger picture. Her experience, humiliating as it was, paled compared to the thousands who faced similar or worse without recourse. She pulled up national data, the kind she'd cited in rulings before, now feeling it personally. Let's zoom out. Across the United States, stories like Zaria's aren't rare, they're routine. According to a 2023 report from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Black Americans are stopped by police at a rate 2.5 times higher than white Americans, even when controlling for population density and crime rates. In traffic stops alone, data from the Stanford Open Policing Project shows black drivers are searched 3.4 times more often than white drivers, yet contraband is found less frequently at 24% versus 30% for whites. Dig deeper, the Center for Policing Equity analyzed over 19 million stops from 2011-2020 across 12 major cities. Findings? Black pedestrians faced force in 11% of encounters compared to 6% for whites. In Denver's own backyard, a 2022 Colorado ACLU study revealed that black residents were arrested for low-level offenses like trespassing at rates 4.7 times higher than whites, echoing Zaria's false charge. Nationwide fatalities paint an even grimmer scene. Mapping police violence tracked 147 people killed by police in 2023. Black individuals made up 24% of those deaths, despite being only 13% of the population. That's a disparity of 3.5 times the rate for whites. In non-fatal incidents, the Bureau of Justice Statistics reported in 2021 that 42% of people experiencing police-initiated contact felt the force was excessive, and minorities reported this at twice the rate of whites. Lawsuits tell another story. From 2015-2024, cities paid out over $3.2 billion in police misconduct settlements per a Washington Post database. Chicago alone shelled out $650 million, New York City hit $1.1 billion. But accountability, rare. Only 1.1% of officers involved in fatal shootings from 2013-2023 faced charges, according to Bowling Green State University's police integrity research. Convictions, even lower 0.6%, qualified immunity exacerbates it all. A 2024 Reuters investigation found that in 82% of civil rights cases against officers, courts granted immunity, blocking victims from justice. Take Colorado. Before a 2020 state law partially ended it, 95% of excessive force suits were dismissed on immunity grounds. Nationally, the Cato Institute estimates this doctrine shields officers in 57% of cases involving racial discrimination claims. Mental health calls, like one of Harlan's past incidents, fare no better. The Treatment Advocacy Center reports police respond to 1 in 5 mental health crises, resulting in force 10 times more often against Black individuals. In 2022, 25% of police killings involved someone in mental distress. Protests highlight the cycle. Post-2020 George Floyd unrest, promises of reform led to minimal change. A 2024 Brennan Center analysis, only 16 states passed significant oversight laws, federal efforts stalled. Defund movements shifted $840 million in budgets, but overall police funding rose 6% to $135 billion annually. Training gaps persist. The Police Executive Research Forum notes just 8 hours of de-escalation training in most academies versus 58 for firearms. Bias training, often one-off sessions, ineffective per a 2023 Meta study in the Journal of Experimental Criminology. Union power plays a role. In 310 departments studied by Campaign Zero, contracts allow officers to review evidence before statements in 72% of cases, delaying justice. Discipline, erased from records after 5 years in 41 states. Youth suffer disproportionately. Black teens are detained at 4.5 times the rate of white teens for similar offenses, per the Sentencing Project's 2024 report. In schools, police presence leads to 1.7 million arrests annually. 6% Black or Latino students. Economic toll. Wrongful arrests cost individuals $4,000 on average in lost wages and fees, per a 2022 Vera Institute study. For cities, it's billions diverted from education and housing. Zaria often shared these stats in her workshops. Numbers aren't abstract, she'd say. They're people, families shattered, trust eroded. Contrast this with officers like Harlan protected by systems that prioritize officer safety over community equity. A 2021 University of Chicago study found white officers use force against Black suspects 2.7 times more than against whites, yet internal reviews substantiate only 17% of complaints. Reform works when enforced. Cities with civilian boards see 25% fewer misconduct payouts, per a 2023 Urban Institute report. Bodycams reduce complaints by 17%, but only if footage is audited. Yet progress is slow. As of December 2024, 28 states still lack independent prosecutors for police shootings. Federal database for officer misconduct, proposed in 2020, still unfunded. Zaria's case added to the chorus for change. Her donated funds helped 47 victims file suits in 2024 alone, winning 22 settlements totaling $1.8 million. Zaria Black never wanted to become a symbol. But after the settlement, the conviction, and the quiet policy shifts in Denver, people kept asking her to speak. On September 22, 2024, she accepted her first major public appearance since the incident, a keynote at the Colorado Bar Association's annual Diversity and Justice Conference in Denver. The room held 420 attorneys, judges, law students, and activists. No cameras allowed, just real conversation. She walked to the podium in a deep teal dress that caught the stage lights, her afro neatly styled with subtle silver clips. No notes. Just her voice, steady, warm, unflinching. "Thank you for having me," she began. 2 years ago, I was on my knees drawing chalk hearts with children at Washington Park. 30 minutes later, I was in handcuffs, wrists bleeding, being told I was resisting arrest. The officer didn't know I was a judge. He didn't need to. What he saw was enough for him to decide I didn't belong. The room was silent. I didn't yell. I didn't run. I complied. Slowly, clearly, politely. And still my arm was twisted until it hurt. Still, I was searched like I had something to hide. Still, false charges were added to a report. Why? Because bias doesn't need a reason, it just needs permission. She paused, letting the word settle. I've presided over hundreds of cases since then. I've seen the same script play out: a stop for nothing, a search for even less, a complaint dismissed because the officer feared for his safety. But whose safety? Not the Black teenager held for 40 minutes without cause. Not the mother terrified in front of her baby. Not the veteran who lost a day's pay for asking a question. She leaned forward slightly. We talk about reform like it's abstract. It's not. It's wrists scarred for weeks. It's jobs lost. It's children who learn early that the people sworn to protect them might see them as threats first. I donated part of my settlement because money can buy lawyers, but it can't buy back dignity. That has to come from the system itself. Then came the most powerful moment. I don't hate Officer Jenkins. I pity the system that protected him for 17 years of complaints. I pity the supervisors who looked away. I pity the culture that taught him his badgeman immunity. But pity doesn't fix things. Action does. She listed concrete asks, calm, specific, forceful, independent prosecutors for all officer-involved misconduct cases. Automatic body cam audits for every use of force or racial profiling complaint. Ending the erasure of disciplinary records after 3 to 5 years. Mandatory, ongoing bias training backed by data, not one-day seminars. Civilian majority review boards with real subpoena power. I'm not asking for perfection, she said. I'm asking for consistency, the same standard for everyone, black, brown, white, judge, janitor. Because when the system fails one of us, it fails all of us. The applause lasted 47 seconds. Several people wiped tears. A young black law student stood first, then others followed, standing ovation. Afterward, in the hallway, she spoke privately with a group of 5 Denver PD officers who attended. One, a black sergeant, shook her hand. I was there that day at the festival, he said quietly. I saw it happen from across the park. I should have said something sooner. I'm sorry. Zaria squeezed his hand. Saying it now matters. Keep saying it. By late 2024, ripples spread. The Colorado legislature introduced House Bill 25107 in January 2025, partially inspired by her speech, requiring independent investigations for misconduct complaints involving race or excessive force. It passed the House 4124 in April 2025, Senate vote pending as of December 2025. Zaria kept her routine morning coffee with mentees, afternoon rulings, evening walks with her rescue dogs. She still drew chalk art when the festival returned. Smaller now, just her and a few close friends. In 2025, she added a new element to her mural, a single open hand, palm up, with the words, "Sime," written inside in soft gold chalk. Passersby stopped to photograph it. Children asked what it meant. It means everyone deserves to be seen as a person first, she told them. Not a threat, not a suspect. Just a person. One afternoon in October 2025, a white woman in her 60s approached Zaria while she was blending colors. I saw what happened to you, the woman said. I'm ashamed I didn't speak up when I saw the officer grab you. I told myself it wasn't my business. Zaria looked up, smiled gently. It's okay, you're here now. The woman knelt, picked up a piece of white chalk, and drew a small heart next to Zaria's hand. They drew in silence for 20 minutes. Before I continue to the final part, let me ask you, if you could ask one question to someone in power about police accountability, what would it be? Write it in the comments. I read every one. With the Colorado bill pending and her speech still echoing in legal circles, Zaria Black agreed to one final public moment. A press conference on December 10, 2024, at Denver City Hall. Organized by the mayor's office and civil rights groups, it aimed to highlight the reforms sparked by her case. About 85 reporters, advocates, and officials attended, standing room only. Zaria stepped to the microphones at 10:15 a.m., wearing a sharp navy suit with a subtle floral pin on the lapel, her afro high and proud, clips glinting under the lights. No prepared speech, just truth. Good morning. She started, voice clear and kind. 2.5 years ago, I was arrested for drawing chalk at a public festival. I was calm. I complied. Yet I ended up in cuffs, charged falsely, because an officer decided I didn't fit. That day exposed not just one man's bias, but a system that let it fester for years. She paused, eyes scanning the room. I'm here not as a victim, but as a judge who sees this every day. We fired one officer, disciplined 5, paid $2.5 million. But that's not enough. It's a start. Real change means ensuring no one, black, white, young, old, faces what I did without cause. Reporters leaned in. Question 1, seen Judge Black, do you believe Officer Jenkins' actions were racially motivated? Zaria, the evidence showed a pattern. 68% of his stops targeted minorities in a city that's 32% minority. Numbers don't lie. Bias, whether conscious or not, led to unequal treatment. We must train against it, audit for it, hold accountable to it. Question 2. What about the department's response? Satisfactory. Zaria, they acted. Firing, demotions, new training. But satisfaction comes from results. Use of force down 14%, complaints reviewed faster. Keep going, independent prosecutors. No more hidden settlements. Question 3. You donated half your settlement. Why not keep it? Zaria, because healing isn't personal. The 375,000 went to legal aid for 47 victims this year alone. They won 1.8 million. That's impact helping families rebuild after wrongful arrests. Question 4Z. Any message to officers watching? Zaria, most of you serve with honor. But if you see patterns like Harlan's, speak up. Silence protects the wrong people. Protect your communities instead. Question 5E. And to victims of similar incidents. Zaria, you're not alone. Know your rights, request a lawyer, film if safe, file complaints. Organizations like the ACLU can help. Your story matters, even without a title. Question 6A, will you run for higher office? Zaria laughed softly. No. My bench is where I make change, one fair ruling at a time. Question 7A, final thoughts on accountability. Zaria, it's not punishment, it's prevention. End qualified immunity for clear violations. Mandate data tracking on stops by race. Build trust through transparency. We can do this together. The conference ended at 10:45 a.m. with applause. Mayor Jonathan Hale added, Judge Black's courage forced us to look inward. Denver is better for it. Zaria shook hands afterward, offering quiet encouragement to a young reporter who shared her own story of bias. Keep telling truths, Zaria said. As she left, snow flurries started, first of the season. She pulled her coat tight, walked to her car, and drove home to her dogs. That night, she baked cookies for neighbors, a small act of kindness in a big world. Nationally, her story fits a pattern: 3.2 billion in settlements, 1.1% charge for fatal shootings, 82% immunity grants. But in Denver, one arrest sparked 5 disciplines, 2.5 million, 14% force drop, 31% more reviews. Small wins add up. Final questions: how many more Zarias are out there waiting for justice? What will you do today to demand accountability? Call your reps, support reforms, share stories. Type "End Qualified Immunity" in the comments if you agree it's time for real change. And if these stories inspire you, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.